So today we have a guest speaker for our October breakfast briefing. We're joined by David Reid from the organisation Field Change. Morning, David.
Good morning, everyone.
And David's going to be speaking to us just about what his organisation can offer. I've had a quick chat with him on the lead up to arranging this breakfast briefing, and I think in the context of the kind of problems we hear from members about recruiting and attracting talent, I think it's certainly something that will be of use, and it was very interesting for me to hear about, so I'm sure it'll be of interest to us all this morning. So I'll pass over to you, David, and let you speak.
That's great. Thanks,
Thank
Amy.
you.
And to say good morning, everyone. Bright and breezy on a Wednesday morning. Firstly, I'm going to confuse everyone because you've come on to talk about fuel change, and the first thing you've seen is a slide that says powering futures. So it's always a great start to tell you that we've already rebranded since we had a chat with Paul and Amy 6-7 weeks ago, which is great because I'd like to tell the story of why we've rebranded, because it's quite important actually to the discussion that hopefully we'll have this morning. First, for myself, David Reid. I'm going to try to give myself some credit points by saying I'm an engineer. I used to work for Jacobs for 30 years, so I don't know if that gives me credit or discredit, but you can decide. But at least it gets me in the door of an engineering discussion. So actually, Dad left Jacobs 4 years ago actually, to do something different. I wanted to do something with a bit of social purpose attached to it, and Fuel Change was born out of that. So what we do overall is we were born out of COP26, and I just want to give you a brief history of fuel change, and then I'll tell you why Powering Futures is now, we rebranded last week, actually, so it's well timed in that respect. But fuel change born out of COP was very much about a focus that we had on the next generation of workforce. We really wanted to attack the next generation of workforce to engage them in a way that for everyday people that would understand climate change better, understand sustainability better, and understand why it's important to all of us and all of our businesses. And we've done lots of work at that time within business with a programme that we developed that went into the heart of businesses for apprentices and graduates. And it was all about helping business from the ground floor up start to generate young people in their business who would understand climate change to the point where they would start to drive that bottom up through the business. That was our approach. And back in the days of COP, and that was pretty successful. The programme we developed in business has become something that was established to the point where it still remains today, and had a real impact with lots of businesses, some of the businesses that are actually on today. You can see there's some numbers, with more than 2,000 participants taking part of Fuel Change, 135 businesses. And the programme we ran, and we still run, is a challenge programme where we use challenges set by industry, real-world sustainability problems, that all of the participants on our programme go through a series of sprints and try to come up with solutions. That was our approach. So that all went well. However, some things changed. Amy, if you can just flip on. So what were the shifting priorities? Fuel Change itself was set up with a name that had a double barrel meaning, and it was about climate change, and it was about how we help businesses to start to change themselves and start to shift towards a more sustainable future, but still at a business level. It really needed to help at a business level. But frankly, since COP left town, then sustainability doesn't sell, right? So we're a social enterprise, but lots of businesses have had shifting priorities since COP, and not even since COP, just the last year. We all know, lots of the things that have happened in the general world and in business world. And some of these shifting priorities I've got here, and the lack of a skilled workforce comes over time and time again. The whole war on talent that reduced numbers that are out there. We're all out there trying to find the same people. And some of the things that have came back regularly were less about technical skills. They were more about the fact that we're struggling to see the next generation with meta skills, just that confidence to be in the workplace, to collaborate, to work in teams, to have the confidence to communicate up and down organisations. And also, what was fed back is a lack of understanding of sustainability in the workplace and how it can affect the workplace, and also digital skills. Another thing that came back to us lots is a much greater need for social value. Lots of contracts now looking for good social value. It's no longer a tick box exercise. What can we do to put something in place that's actually got a real crunch to it and demonstrable and also easy to deliver? The other parts we were surprised about was just an access to schools for businesses. Businesses want to get into schools, lots of STEM programs, but they weren't all hitting the mark and making a difference. So how do businesses get into schools and start to grab that pipeline of talent? And the final one, and there's a real argument ongoing, as you probably know, after the James Withers report about the opportunities that are out there for the next generation. We're working with hundreds of the next generation, and they do talk about a lack of transparency in terms of what the opportunities are and then the pathways to get there. They're quite confused by the landscape. So that shifted our emphasis. And if we move on, thanks, Amy. That shifted our emphasis to do something different. And the something different was powering futures. The something different was an evolution. So we haven't stopped what we're doing in fuel change, but we decided to move the programme under a banner of powering futures, which is all about powering the futures of the next generation, of powering the futures of companies and helping them drive to where they want to be. And also partly around powering the futures of everyone, because everyone deserves the opportunity, in our view, to maximise their potential. You're reaching a ladder down into every part of society, but giving everybody the opportunity to see the opportunities and also see the pathways to get to jobs and prosperity and opportunity. So what we are all about now is we've shifted our emphasis to be much more about creating a pipeline of talent of the next generation and then attaching it to businesses far and wide across Scotland in most sectors. And it's businesses that don't necessarily have to be about a net zero product or something to do with sustainability, far from it. Just businesses like your good selves, all of whom want to be sustainable, all of whom will be part of it, will be transitioning themselves over time to be more sustainable and part of a net zero transition. We want to give you young people who can now see the opportunities working with you and show them the pathways to get to the jobs and opportunities that you've got, and then deliver them to you with meta skills, with the ability to communicate, with all of the things you're looking for, and also an understanding of sustainability and why that's important for their careers, but also your business, so they can use it in any way, shape or form, whether that be problem solving or whether that be in just everyday life. And we do that through a very well established structured programme, which we have now got embedded in schools, we've embedded it in colleges, but we're also embedding it in businesses to allow you to have your own pipeline of talent within your business where you can maximise it and unearth the talent that you've got already that sit within your workforce. One of the biggest shifts we've had, though, is probably our schools programme. But what we don't do is we don't do deep into school, starting at first year and second year. Ours is all about a 5th and 6th year programme, which is transition to workplace. It's all about connecting new businesses to that final year set of students who are unsure of their future, but we want to engage them in a way that will allow you to get to them and start to shape their own future. Next slide, thanks, Amy. So from a schools point of view, we developed over the last 2 years a curriculum-based version of what we do. Our programme in the workplace takes 16 weeks. It's an hour or two a week for apprentices and graduates. Works really well, well-established programme. over the last couple of years, we developed a curriculum-based version of that that's now in schools. It's in the curriculum. Kids can and students can take this as part of their course choices, and it takes the full 30 weeks of the academic process. It's curriculum based to SCQF level 6, which is equivalent of half a higher, which is probably what I've got if I look at my leaver form. So last year we ran this in its fullest form with a dozen schools across Scotland to ensure that it really worked, and it really did. We're delighted. The outcomes last year were really good. And then we have gone across the rest of the education system and started to add schools to the portfolio. This year we've got 45 secondary schools across Scotland. You can see there we've got a nice split, 50% female, male, gender split. And the thick end of 700 students now. That number at 638 is probably behind the ball now. It's over 700. 21 local authorities. We train the teachers. Our course is embedded in the schools. The teachers deliver it. And by this time next year, we're confident to be in at least 50% of all secondary schools across Scotland, and really using this to supercharge that talent pipeline out into businesses like your good self. What we have done though, and this is, there's two prongs to this, is we have specifically developed a curriculum. So there's moments in time where businesses go in and actually deliver the class. And what we've tried to do along these 6 or 7 opportunities to go into the classroom is tell the class directly what happens in the real world. It's not an advert for a company. It's actually talking about the real world, how circular economy works in the real world, how you make decisions in the real world. So it's in the classroom as opposed to turning up to an assembly hall every so often and just doing a one and done. And that's part of where we've found real success, because it's over the full 30 weeks. We get real engagement with the students along the way, to the point where we can really make an impact in connecting them to the opportunities that we're going to make available to them, so they can see them told in their language, which is very different to my language, and to the point where you can show them what the pathways are. You can show them whether that be apprenticeships or graduate apprenticeships, or indeed, if they are going to go to university, then why would they go to university? What type of courses might they take for the benefit of their career? By giving them the meta skills that we give them in this programme and let them understand sustainability, they've got the skills that you need. It's what they then add on to it beyond that that really makes a difference. So a chance to do just that. Next slide, thanks. So if I look at some of the benefits it's been bringing to organisations, so we're partnering with a number of firms who have now joined what we do. I've got a couple of examples there. Vattenfall are a schools partner, which we're working with them in Midlothian around their district heating drive. Also, a partner we've had for 2 or 3 years now are Scottish Water, where they've taken what we do and they've put that into their apprenticeship programme for their new apprentices, which is really given that. And they also work on their own challenges as opposed to the challenges that we normally bring set by others. So some of the benefits that I've listed there, but the ones that have been probably spoken about the most is businesses really pleased to get access to schools and that talent, a chance to brand very early what it is you do, either as a sector or indeed as an individual organisation. The opportunity to show the next generation what your jobs are all about and the wide variance of them. There's a lot of myopic thinking with young people because they don't hear what's out there, and they don't realise the depth and breadth of what's actually available, all the way from welders up through joiners, up through technicians, up through professional services, and the full gambit of it. And then some of the other things that you need in your businesses around data scientists and different thinkers and all of these good things. We've also, importantly, as part of this, we've used the government calculator to work out and directly work out what the social value would be for any businesses involved. So we can give you a direct output of what you do against the social value calculator, so you can use it in tenders as you go. But we've also opened up a volunteer programme as part of this. We've got a mentoring programme, which we provide the training for, and that's for all of your staff. So part of this is when you're part of Powering Futures, then reaching out to the rest of your staff to say, be part of this. Here's the benefits of it for everybody, and you can also collect the upside of that for your own business. And end up, what we're trying to do is create sustainably enabled problem solvers. That's maybe the best way we can put it, that they can then arrive in many businesses and be ready to go. Right, really cutting that time to productivity back, because they're now used to the workplace to a degree, and they've got skills that you really need as a base load, and you would add them on as you go. So finally, in terms of getting involved, and if you look, I can explain what Vattenfall and Scottish Water do. So the last slide there, Amy, thanks. So what we've created is something we call the Schools Partner, where businesses can get involved with themselves to be a partner in schools. There's a cost to being involved with a social enterprise. We've tried to make this accessible to everybody, but at least that cost brings you value in terms of reaching out into schools. And the Schools Partner is either at a national level, where the way we've set it up is you would select a secondary school that you would look after, but you would also have access to all the other schools in our portfolio, which, as I say, is growing all the time. Or you can be a regional partner where you just go in and help one particular school that might be useful to your business locally. We've also developed, as I mentioned, a bespoke business program, which is taking what we do and embedding it right into your business, or indeed working with other businesses or your clients or your supply chain. So when I mentioned Scottish Water, that's exactly what they're doing. Lothian Buses are doing similar. One of your good members is Booth Welsh, who've been terrific right from the start of what we do. And that final one about the volunteer force is, how do you use the rest of your current generation, if you like, to be part of this? And that can help your staff, or it can be going out into schools and helping that next generation of talent. So we've tried to pivot, if you like, to exactly what industry has been asking of us. How do we generate the next generation of workforce with the right baseload of skills that can arrive in the right jobs, following the right path, and really support all of our businesses to get to where they want to get to? And that, we believe, is something as a social enterprise we can really make an impact for your business. Final slide, thanks, Amy. So happy to take questions, but also if anybody wants to contact me, I'm on david@poweringfutures.com, and more than delighted to have a one-to-one chat about where this might work for you, or indeed just to explore what the challenge that you face and whether we can help in any way. Thanks, everybody. Delighted, Amy, to take any questions.
Thanks very much, David. So if anyone has any questions at all, feel free to put your camera on, or pop it in the chat if your camera and mic's off. We've got a good 10 minutes left for any questions.
Hi David, it's John Valentine here. I'm
Hi, John.
Operations Director at Adaptix over in Herriwater Research Park. We're just really set up. We're only our 10th month in Edinburgh. We're an Oxford-based company. But I'd been speaking to Julie at Scottish Engineering when she came to visit as we joined the engineering organisation. And I mentioned about the schools interaction. And one of the things was, I'm the father of a profound deaf son, and he wears cochlear implants. And I asked him, did they do the deaf units within schools? And there was a big deaf unit in St Roch's in Glasgow. And she said, no, we don't actually do that. And I don't think that's one of the areas we concentrate on. And she was going to investigate that this year. So I don't know if that's been fed back to you or not. But that's an area as well, no, different inclusivity, no, from kids as well in schools. It's an area that can we help these kids as well, rather than not just the kind of main general population. So I don't know if that's something that you'd be considering moving forward.
Sure, thanks, John. A couple answers to that. One is, what we've aimed the programme at, generally speaking, has been everyday people. So what we tend to find is the sort of top 10% in schools, etc., get lots. The furthest from employment, there's lots going on there, but that's a crowded place. We've tried to make this for everyday people, and because that's the majority of the workforce that most people in the call are looking for. So it is about speaking to them in a way that they understand.
Yeah.
So that's a general point. In terms of accessibility and reaching to everybody, John, we're working with, for example, Cairn Grange School and also a school in Glasgow, which are dealing with people with different needs. Not all about deaf, it's like every set of needs and learning difficulties. So we're trying our very best to be as accessible as possible. And I'd love to talk to you a bit more about your own personal situation, because that's the very point about this is reaching out to everybody. I said that at the start. The first bullet point is how do we make this available to every demographic and let them. We've always got this thing about let them put their foot in the rung of the ladder. If they decide not to, then that's a decision everybody can make. But if they do, everybody should get the opportunity to do that. Local to you, we're in Balerno High School, so just around the corner in some respects. And we've been working with Heriot Watt. We're actually working with Heriot Watt's Estates Department at the moment to look at how we did the programme for St Andrews University. So they're joiners and plumbers and all of their trades people, apprentices went through the programme. So we're looking to do that with Heriot Watt as well. So local to your good selves.
Okay.
Does that answer the question okay?
Yeah. I'll send you a separate email then. Contact you.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Thank you.
And have we got any other questions?
Yeah, sorry, Roddy Donaldson. David, you mentioned is it mainly aimed at 5th and 6th year? Is that where you start to engage people?
So what we over the past 2 years, because we've been in schools now for 2.5 years probably, we tried our programme. So the apprentice and graduate piece and into colleges, we know exactly what we're doing there. That's all going well, and that's working with 16 to 24-year-olds. So we're right across the piece. We get people at 22 and 23 join the programme. So that end works really well. In schools, we tried it with 3rd years and 4th years, and what we found was they just weren't ready for it. They weren't engaged enough because they weren't thinking about their future enough. So we developed another programme which is 1st to 4th year, which is all about climate change learning and just understanding what it is, but again, very much aimed at engaging everyday people. The point at which we found it really came alive was 5th and 6th year, because they are then really thinking about their future. And we also looked at, there's something like 80,000 young people leave school every year in Scotland, and 30,000 take English. Is it higher? 19,000-ish take maths, 11,000 take PE. That's the 3rd one. And the 4th one's history at 9,000. And what we found, speaking to educationists, working with Professor Ken Muir, that what was missing was something that's much more skills and capability based up in the high numbers. So what we've created was something, Rory, was all about, Rory, is all about how they think differently, how they apply these skills. So it's both vocational and it's got that critical thinking element to it. When we tried that with 3rd and 4th years, it kind of fell apart. They were just too early in their learning to get it, if that helps answer your question.
It does, yeah. Thank you.
Thank you. And I think I heard another voice for questions.
Yeah, this is Gail Trainer here at Plexus. We're based in Kelso. I've just had a question around apprentices, because we offer both graduate and modern apprentices, and I'm just wondering that from that point of view, is it coming through the college or the university, or is it something we should be doing as a business to kind of get more involved? So I'm just kind of interested to know a bit more about that bit of it.
No, that's great, Gail. Firstly, we've actually worked with a couple of teams from yourself. You were in a set of challenges set in South of Scotland Enterprise last year. And on the back of that, we've just opened up Jedburgh, so at least the linkage was here somewhere. Gail, happy to drop you a note on who we're working with.
That'd be great.
Yeah, what we've done is depending on the nature of the business, the Scottish Water version is they're still doing their modern apprenticeship, and they're doing this as an overlay into what they do with all their new apprentices. And what it's done for them is it's allowed them to take, in their words, 9 months out of the productivity, if you like, graph, because they very quickly get to know all the new apprentices, they start to network with them, they wouldn't meet them for a long time, they will work on challenges set by themselves. So it's also been a good filler in these early stages with apprentices where they're still trying to find their feet. And lots of people in the business are struggling to give them work. You know, that first few months is quite difficult to give them something meaty. So it gets them into the business, gets them working on something, and at the same time, it fits neatly into some of their core skills as part of the modern apprenticeship. But what we've also done, we're running a pilot at the moment that's going quite well in your neck of the woods, working with Galashiels Academy and Borders College and Morrison Construction. We've created a bespoke version, which is the students in their final year will do Powering Futures, which gives them problem-solving skills, meta skills, sustainability understanding. They do CAD, finance for beginners, and construction management. And then Morrison's take them out in the park a few times. So it gives them a much more rounded offer that takes them down a path that allows them to take an apprenticeship. It's a bit like a quasi foundation apprentice. And then they land in the business at the end, or the ones who have achieved through the course of the year. So there's 2 or 3 different ways. So when we sit down with someone like yourself, Gail, then we make it bespoke to what you need and put it into the right part of the year that makes sense for you.
Okay, that sounds good. Thanks.
Great. Gail, if you're able to drop me a note, I can just maybe connect some dots at your end in terms of who we're speaking to.
Yeah, that'd be really useful. Thanks. Yeah, I'll drop you an email. Thank you.
Great, thanks. Jedburgh's going well, by the way. So that's good news.
That's good.
And do we have any other questions? If not, just a comment I wanted to raise, David, from the last time we spoke, and from a lot of your testimonials, and I think there was a really good video as well. I think one thing we've maybe not touched on is how much the apprentices actually enjoy it, and the young people participating. They seem to have a really good experience, and they're, the kind of language they use to describe the experience of going through it. I think they actually feel like they've gained a lot personally through doing the programme.
No, I think it's really fair, Amy, and thanks for raising it. We've been lucky the last 2 years of the SDS Apprentice Awards have all been, then Fuel Change alumni, we might call them. But one of the things, because we talk about everyday people, then we don't have polished videos at the end that show people doing all singing, all dancing. What we have is, real apprentices, and their journey travelled, if you like, is significant. If you are online with Powering Futures, you'll see some videos that show Vicky down in GE Caledonian, whose career has just blossomed. It's given her the confidence to go and do things that she wouldn't have normally have done. Callum Gott, Spirit Aerial Systems, is now on panels delivering speeches about why his line of work is so important. It's really given him confidence to break out of it. So it has a real impact in the workplace. That time to value piece has been quite significant. It's unleashed talent in businesses that businesses don't know are there, and they've really started to work up and down the hierarchy of business as opposed to across it. Some of that's came from the impact of COVID. The real impact of our young people is that lack of confidence, lack of collaboration. They've now moved into hybrid working, which has made it even tougher. So, part of what's came out of it, maybe inadvertently, is that degree of confidence to be in the workplace and just participate much better.
That's definitely what stood out to me. So thank you very much, David. If we've no other questions, that's brought us to the close of the session today. You've got David's details on that last slide there, but again, most of you will have my email address or someone in our organisation, and we're happy to make connections if you need us to. So if we've no further questions, thank you very much, David.
Great. I'd love to hear from anyone, and I'll certainly love to hear the challenges you're facing and see if we can help. So thanks very much for the opportunity, and I hope I haven't ruined your breakfast for anyone.
No, my tea was lovely.
Absolutely. Enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you very much. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Cheers.
Thanks. Bye.
All right.